let me introduce myself a little bit. My name is Maud. I am 3D artist from M2 Animations. And today I am very excited to share the story of how we can build a world of Warhammer Cinematic in real time. And because and of course we are using Unreal Engine to render out our final product. So please allow me to tell you more about M2 Animation at the studio. So M2 Animation, we are animation company. We have a mothership of management in Denmark and another office in USA, and we have our full service production from script to screen in Bangkok, Thailand, and that's where I came from. So we have been using our traditional render pipeline for over a decade to ship our animations and also advertisement. And 5 years ago, we did a taste that you just open up the Unreal Engine, throwing in some characters and rig and also the animations as well. And of course, we are doing all the effects and also those camera movement and all set inside Unreal Engine. And then we hit render. And the result was giving us something. It's giving us some potential of shipping our project with another brand. Of course, it's going to be real-time responsive in real form. And with 5 years of our finding a solution to figuring issues, to improve our character look and improve our effects as well, we finally having something to show you here. It's a quick reels from our company. Please see it together. So that's it. It's not covering our 5 years of work, but anyway, you can sense what Unreal can deliver you as a quality, and also you can look at the effects and all the quality of the character as well. So you can imagine yourself, you are animation studios, you can see the outcome of what Unreal can deliver you a package of final delivery package. So I am so glad that I'm not the only one here to representing M2 Animation. We have Nikolai, effects artist, and Chris Badu is our GC supervisor. He's here as well in the sessions, and also he having his own sessions tomorrow. It's about the Python and all the coding behind the things. He's also the man behind all the structure and strategy. Please keep an eye out for that. Tomorrow it's going to be awesome for him. If you are animation studio, please keep an eye out for that, because you're going to see a lot of Python coding. But in these sessions, I'm only going to share everything from artist and true user perspective. So you're going to see basically everything, how we can connect things together inside our studios. So there's no Python coding. There's nothing about any coding and also no technical stuff inside the presentation. Whew. So I cannot skip this thing. It's our strategy from day one. Imagine yourself working in animation studios for a decade, and you have been using Redshift to render everything out, and one day you cannot do it because we are full of render capacity in our studio. So that's of course, it's forcing us to change to using Unreal Engine to render it in real time. And we have to find a way to deliver the package without messing up with our team, because they have been on that station for a decade doing their model, doing their surfacing, and also the lighting as well. So we have to find a way to work with our team without breaking our traditional pipeline. So if we cannot deliver the package, you just have to fall back to traditional render pipeline also. So keep in mind that we need to keep our traditional pipeline in the studio and not doing anything that's going to break it. So this is the most challenging part ever that we have been facing on deliver our packets, because we have to deliver our Warhammer thematic with pre-render stuff, and it was top-notch quality. And this time we have to do it in real time, but we still need to match the quality. Can you imagine that? And we didn't have an experience in Unreal. Everybody's starting from almost ground zero. We don't know what it's going to be like in the final product. So the quality, this is what we are looking for, and we do everything to like having a compromise in terms of that. To showing you the whole landscape, I need to talk about our production pipeline overview. This is our pipeline, a simplified version of our pipeline. So basically, we got a short grid to use as a management tools that we haven't used for like decades. Since it was a shotgun, now it was short grid, and it's going to change into full production tracking, whatever. And we have our own server to submit our work into the latest version. We name it meme server. I don't know why it's called meme, but it's there for some reason. Imagine you are the artist inside infused into animations. You have to submit our work as a model department or any servicing or kind of rigging. You're going to have to submit the files into meme. So you make sure that the next department is going to get the latest version to do that job. And we also having layout and also animations as well. We submit everything into meme server. And this server will having every information the same as we did before with our traditional Blender pipeline. But this time, we need to render everything inside Unreal Engine. So we did building something, a door to Unreal. It's called into tools, which is a practical way to like convincing the new artists to getting into Unreal world. So it's just expecting themselves getting into Unreal, using the tools, input tools, and then they just choose what they want. They want to import the asset, boom. They want to import the shot, boom. They want to like creating some lighting or level, just get inside Unreal Engine, try it, and using our tools. In this section, I cannot unpack everything because it's too much for me to explain it. So this is our forecasting area. We're going to focus on model, surface, and M2 tools in action, and also the look depth of our pipeline, and a little bit of the shot setup and the final product of what this is going to look like. First department, getting affected by Unreal Engine is the modeling department. So as we know that we're not going to changing everything from our traditional Blender pipeline. We keep everything pretty much the same, but we're changing only the general requirements. So we're not coming from game industry. We're just doing our animation. So back then, we just doing some model with plots, and then we just subdivision and we pull this thing that run at the final render. But this time, we need to tailor-make our topology. Imagine you've got a space marine with a big scar. You really need to preserve those details by using topology itself. No displacement map. So it's more work to our modeling team. We're working with Mickey Kansas space, which after the model is finished, we just solve the face of the image and then unlock the normal. That's it. And because we are using tailor-made topology, it's going to be 1 million polygon per character. So we basically need 2 versions for the character and the prop and also the tip. Well, we're going to need a high resolution asset just for rendering and continuing the surfacing department. And we use the raw resolution just to having a technical thing done, like rigging or using as a layout animation as well. So basically, the difference between our pipeline and the game development is we're using high model for the final product. The low version, you just need it for layout and all the animation stuff. Technical insight. This is the examples of our work. This guy is one of the Space Marine. It contains 1 million plus of the topology count. And my first time seeing this character in all those Space Marine, I was shocked. Really. I came from the game industry, and I know that if you're using 600A per character, that's enough. But this guy, he got 1 million police. Oh my God. What about like 10 of him were in army of the Space Marine? How are we going to handle it? So that's my first concern. And our team is like, have to try it out until we're reaching the limitations of the engine, which I'm going to show you on the very next of the slide. And then we're using a Houdini SDA to automation, generating the low resolution with low resolution images for the asset. Still, we need to keep the UV detained as a high poly version because it's gonna be using by layout team and all the animations artists. They're gonna see the textures, so you need to keep the same UVs. With MetaHuman, we have another setup for the face. So we're just using a MetaHuman base for the face, is making a little bit of changes on the composition itself, and of course we have a detailed preserved topology. So you can see the plaque on his head is like, it has to be topologized by artists precisely. For eyelashes and all those eye setup, we need an actual polygons because we are still living with our blend shapes without like, we didn't have any joint expressions for the face. So we're living with our blend shapes. Look, it's this one. This is the blend shape of the characters. This 40 to 45 blend shape per characters. That's a minimum. And the man who's doing this, like 40 to 45 blend shapes, he's crying right now in the studio, is Hussein. So, hi Hussein, great job. Anyway, like I mentioned before, we still rely ourselves on the blend shape system. So that's still our issues inside the studio. We have to find a way to get out of this. So maybe it's better, maybe we can build something better in the next version of our characters. So what do you get after the model is done? So you get high resolution match. You continue in the pipeline. You get low res to do all the technical stuff. You get the room proxy to do the room. We get all the blend shapes, expressions to do all the rig. And also those sets and components has to be done the same way that we did in the character as well. Of course, checking everything in Zoom, that's what we get notification every time in the studio. So servicing department, this is the next department that can be affected by Unreal Engine. And it was where Unreal Engine was trying the most because we can have a real-time responsive of the lights and all the surfacing as well. And still, we cannot break anything from a traditional render pipeline. So we still check in our textures inside the Maya files and let Beam deliver those textures into our server. And then we get those textures back inside Unreal Engine by using Qt. So general requirement for the surfacing is just using subsampler for our DCC software, and we use onboard tools to import everything from Maya. So basically, we just doing the same thing that we did before for decades. Submit textures to Maya in the right slot and hoping that Unreal Engine is gonna pull it out by using our extra tools that was written by Chris Badu. So the core materials inside Unreal, inside M2 animations, we've got only 5 core materials that we are using along our process. Almost like 80% of the process, like using this one. The standard master, it's using for pretty much everything about our servicing department. So basically, it's just a standard materials that you're gonna have it on every object, everything inside the world using standard masters. So you can have abilities to change the colors, roughness, also etc., like you did in make a scan thing. Another one is the sting master. This one we have to talk a lot more in the next slides because when we're talking about Warhammer, we're talking about a robust character, and we cannot have a compromise on that one. So we need to go 100% realistically the same as our traditional in their pipeline. The structure master is using for our set and prop. It's basically a procedural way to texture our gigantic asset. In the world of Warhammer, everything is massive. Everything is super huge scale. So you're going to end up with 40 to or 20 units just for one statue. So this is why we need the procedural materials for using as a structure master. Lens depth. This is what we use for space marine glass, eyeglasses. What do you call? I mean, like the glass that having some emissions when they get into the dark spots. So it's having a fake reflection inside the materials. So we call it a lens depth. And invisible. This is my favorite one. If you have any issues about the rendering, like super flickering issues or some boom proxy, they are still there when you are doing the shot. So you're just throwing this thing on top. Problem solved. You never see it. This is our technical insight of servicing department. In our traditional pipeline, we separate everything by using material. For example, we separate the metal from the leather. Something that we're going to use metal, we separate it in our traditional pipeline. But in real-time rendering pipeline, we separate everything by part of the characters. And this is way more easier to manage, to hide things, to do some change of the colors, to do some change of the brightness part, and also to manage our pixel density as well. So in each part of the character, we have a standard of the pixel density per part. For example, we have 10 plus px unit. If you are going inside Maya and using the UV tools, you can see the units of the pixel density. So we're going 10 plus px unit for the fade, and also the math and everything as well that's connected to the fade. Communication. This is what entry tools has been used in our studio. So after we exporting all the pictures from Subanimator, connect them back inside Maya, and then going back to Meme to upload the asset, then you will have a package of the pictures that going to be using Unreal Engine. And this is how we can call out all the assets to the turntable. You're just using M2 tools, like the characters, make turntable, and everything is automatically imported for you. You just point your camera, see the outcome. But sometimes we need to customize those shaders one by one. For example, you need some effect shaders for his eye, for his weapons. That thing you need to do is one by one by manually by the artist. But anyway, our surfacing artists are living in paradise right now. They are having a real-time responsive, and you can deliver everything in kind. This is the most challenging part from the ground zero that we have been starting our project. It's a character benchmark. Basically, you have to send in the new way of work with the same client. They're going to notice the difference in terms of quality. And we're talking about interiors, room, all those fancy eye reflections, and also the force of the face of the characters. This is our first generation of the shaders. It's nothing much, and actually our first project has been rendered by Unreal Engine. And this org is using our first generation of the skin shaders. It's just basically subsurface profile that we installed to him. So just that. And it was Unreal 4.26, so it's really a long time. Still the first generation of the shaders, you can still see there's a lot of plastic loops on the character face, but he's lucky enough to hide it in the darkness. So that's where we know that we're gonna need to do something on top of this, or doing a development to make this thing better and better. But still, we're stuck at the first version of the shaders, 4.26, and then this is where we started to acknowledge the metahuman. So we did changing something about the eye setups. We are using the eye occlusion plane, the first eye shell for the characters. And this is our first room characters that we're using experimental features inside Unreal Engine as well. And we pray for it not to break during the shot. So this is where we ship our Power Nexus 3 episode. And each episode, we need to pray for not breaking our rooms. And we are super happy that we do not have any overtime working in this project. So this is where we find our pipeline is coming to more consistent, and we can convince more artists to join the Unreal team inside into studios. So second generation of the shaders. Now we learn something from MetaHuman. It was amazing by seeing their shaders, but we cannot directly use it because Space Ring, they have a lot of star. They have a lot of rough skin. And also those scar has to be represented all the characteristic of this guy. So the test here is done by Descent. He's a modeling team. He's one of the modeling team, a talented artist, and he's just jumped right into Unreal, helping me like developing the shaders for this guy. So this is his first time doing surfacing in Unreal Engine after we got some learning from MetaHuman. The second generation of the characters, everything comes to life. We got less plastic looking of the characters. And the secrets behind this kind of skin material, it's just a full control of the cavity map and all the specular has to be precise. So basically, we are not using that much on the specular map because it's going to break some EBR stuff. It's going to break some physical accurate. But I found that if we have some precise cavity map and also precise level of the specular map, you're going to have this kind of realistic looking character. So, and the room here is a combine between Olympic room from Extend with haircuts, as you can see it per Reds here. And this is another example of the Space Marine that you can see there's a lot of change in terms of spin shaders. So second generations of the shaders, we learn a lot of things from MetaHuman. We can fully control our cavity map, and we're spending more time to having more precise baking map in our team. So basically, like I said before, we keep everything in this traditional pipeline with skills of the artist. We just make it better and try to like getting them into using Unreal and see what it gets. Current approach of our characters now. We are not stopping with just cavity maps and those specular map. We are trying our first 8K map for the skin characters, and everything was running perfectly fine. We having a real-time responsive. And also the pores of the skin, it's not like sharper than before. If we compare back to our traditional render pipeline, I'm sure that now we can get over it. I mean, we are above it one level at least, and we also having a sweating system on top of our skin shader as well. So yeah, this is pretty much is for the skin shader. You're just looking for the control of cavities and specular baking from your CBUS or DCC software. And this is the example of our texture variant. So imagine you get the same characters getting stabbed, getting shot, getting like some damage in their bodies. We have building some Python script to helping assign the right textures per sequence. So imagine yourself working in the shots, and there's hundreds of shots that you have to go through. You're just helping a document to show up or which shot gonna use, which shot's gonna use what textures, where it's gonna use per shot. You just hear it inside the sequencer. Easy as that. And this is another example of our 8A map for characters. And this, you guys, has been done by our mid-level surfacing artists with the current approach of our surfacing guideline. And this is what we are shocked to be seeing this thing responsive in real time, because every character is not just 1 million poly count, it's 20 to 30 buildings per character. So imagine, I'm coming from game industry and I also blown away by like shocked and blown away how Unreal Engine can handle those super heavy things. Because actually I want to be honest that we are getting forced to use Unreal Engine because back then when we used structured render pipeline, we are our resources. The render farm was full. Everything was the resources was full. We cannot expand our team. And we also having no budget to try something like to try buying more machine. So with the surfacing department done, you will get something that you can see and feel about the character, also the sets and flow. So you have the final package of the static mesh. So surfacing artists, they are working on the static mesh, and then we hook up those shaders later on after the rig is done. So we basically match those materials from static mesh to the skillful mesh automatically. So this is what I have been covering up so far. So we're talking about in pipeline, model, surface, and also a little bit of M2 fuse. So you can see that there's a lot of things to unpack here, but I can only give you a glimpse of how everything has been connected together. It's just in this video. So you can see the process, the whole process of our artists working on. Since we are using the traditional render pipeline, we are doing the core stages of the characters inside Maya. We animate everything inside Maya as well. We're doing our set in Maya, and then we just submit everything into meme server, pull it out by using M2 pipeline, and after that, director is like coming behind you, and you see the blip of the airplanes. Oh, I want this thing like a little bit further. We are working with traditional render pipeline. We're gonna wait for like 10 hours of render, but this time we just whoop and hit the render. Done. This is our latest work on the stat9 hour things, and you're seeing that we are helping the core stage of the characters have been blocking inside Maya, and then a little bit of set dressing to guide our Unreal artists, and lighting as well to actually move that stuff inside the stage. So we basically not just set dressing inside Unreal, we set dressing both static mesh and those effects inside Unreal as well. So all those smoking effects and all those particle, they're in Niagara, and also some of them are the real like simulations from within it. Here's another example of a quick action of our pipeline. So you see, that's a little bit of changing along the way that we work inside the studio. But we can make our changes super easy by using Unreal Engine without need to wait for the rendering time anymore. And here, what I'm still regretting since the start of the shifting to Unreal Engine, we have to use the material layer functions from the first Unreal 5 came out, because we are stuck in with material layers, and you can see the spaghetti nodes inside the material layers. You can see have to stock at least 2 layers of the dirt on top of our scene shaders, or any asset has to use the material layers. So we have to use it sooner. And also I still regretting to lose my work a lot of time because I'm not turning off my Unreal Engine before I do this thing from purpose. And yeah, if you are animation studio and looking for your change to use Unreal Engine, this is what I'm recommending when you are first building your shaders and just starting Unreal with purpose. turn off the Unreal before you sync everything. So to wrap up this session, and the core of this presentation, it's not about how good we are. It's about our starting point. It's our direction. Since we are moving forward together, we don't want to destroy any traditional render workflow. We don't want to build something with millions of dollars. We just want to roll with something that we already got. And with our most talented artists inside the studio, we can get in ourselves into Unreal Engine super easy because they already got the skill. They just need a little bit of push. A little bit of push, I mean like a week of a week of training, or they're just going to Unreal and try something from their perspective. So everybody can try something. And I am super glad that, guys, we finally did it for 5 years of fixing all the figuring issues, finding how we can handle the room, finding how we can set up all the effects and all the shots, and how we can communicate the artists and convince them to use Unreal Engine. We finally did it. And this is a couple of things for an extract. It's our first attempt and our pioneer to get the step into Unreal Engine. This is our first pioneer artist. I'm sorry, Sebastian. I forgot to put your pictures on. And the first render tried out, it was done by Philip. He's our director, and he's the one who stood up for the real-time rendering pipeline. And yeah, Chris Badu is also here to help us as well. And this is our first attempt of rendering in Unreal Engine that have been mentioned before. So you can see simple character, simple rig, simple animations with subsurface profile shader. And these guys are still using a traditional render pipeline UDIM. So it's like around 200 UDIM in the scene, and also millions of polygons are including in the scene. This is Space Marine as well. And this is a million of Space Marine walking in the scene. So this is what I mentioned before, that these guys are using like millions of polygons to get the quality. But now we have almost like 20 million, 40 million, 50 million on viewport without breaking our bones. So that's what I'm really want to share. If you are working in an animation studio and you are afraid to using Unreal because of the and you are afraid of change because you are having a concern that it's going to break when you importing some millions of poly inside the viewport, you can do it right away. You don't have to optimize anything, but now we have to because we're going to get, we need 60 FPS of the frame rate to do our work. So yeah, I cannot get off this stage without showing our team. So it's worth to mentioning that name is showing that page. They are working at first tirelessly to doing blend shapes, 40 blend shapes per character, and sometimes 100. Ooh. And a lot of topology has to be tailor-made, crafted. And this is our surfacing team. They are a very small team, but they are super nice of learning things new. So they're now not going to go back to traditional render anymore, especially our lighting scene. If you're asking somebody around M2 Animations, if you want to step back to your traditional render, or you want to stay in Unreal team, they will answer it right away that they don't want to step back into traditional render pipeline. They want to wait. They don't want to wait for the responses at the report. So shout out for M2 teams. We finally did it. Thank you everybody for coming to us. So I have 15 minutes for quick questions, and if you have the detailed questions, we better do it in the dev now because I can give you a precise answer with Chris and Nikolai as well. So please raise your hand if you've got some questions and anything to ask, and somebody will hand you the microphone.
Hello, I'm Panji. Great work for the 40K, by the way. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I want to ask about the mesh you import to Unreal. Is that all the Alembic file
The mesh or the
for the Unreal from the Maya to Unreal?
oh
It's become the Alembic file or?
yeah, I forgot to mention that we are using SPX as our universal files to connect between Maya and Unreal. All those Alembic files only going to be geometric hash animations and the groom assets. Yeah, we're facing a lot of groom stories, so we can talk later in that long.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, that was really interesting, and look forward to seeing you talk again on some of your other pipeline customizations. I guess, are you rendering final pixels, doing all your color grading and posts as like in Unreal, or are you recombining it in Nuke still at the end?
We basically grab everything that we see in the reports inside Unreal, and we just jank it in our grading artist and make them do the finaling of the work. So basically, we got no rendering pass. We just see what we get in the report, exporting that thing into grading team, and the benefits of seeing everything in the report is directors and all the art directors, they can judging what they can see in the report directly, and you just make a change in front of them and asking them, is it okay? Yeah.
Could you elaborate a bit more on the invisible shader? I mean, you mentioned that you basically use it to remove something that's undersampled or flickering. When you take something out, do you then need to run a separate pass for that to be added back in comp later? Or
Actually, the flickering issues, there's some multiple ways to fix it, but most of them are fixing by the grading part. Because we're using the VC result, we use it, the flicker nodes inside the VC result, and it all getting fixed by 60%. But sometimes you need to crank up the screen space resolution to be 200 to get the flickering out of your rendering. So the flickering issues sometimes coming from the normal map itself, and we are not using any mid map in our process. So every textures are loaded with full resolution. So sometimes getting flickering by the pixel is not getting anti-aliasing, like perfect anti-aliasing out of the report. So we done multiple ways to fix it based on what you saw, based on what you want to fix. Is like we want to fix the groom flickering issues. Sometimes you just need to crank up some commands in the render. We want to fix the shadow flickering issues. Sometimes you have to check your light sample. You want to fix the width of the surface issue. You just crank up the screen resolution sample. That's going to fix it. So it depends on the surface that you see in the flickering issues. Yeah. The second answer your question. Yeah.
Hello. Can you elaborate more on the low-res asset and the high-res asset?
Oh yeah.
Like how you transfer it to the like the rigging stuff, how it works.
Sure. So the situation that we're facing is after we have done our space marine, let's say it was super perfect. It was full of details and full of topology has been topologized. But you need to standing this thing for the rigger and animator as well. And with Maya viewport, and we stay with Maya 2019, imagine yourself doing the rig from 2 million polygons. You cannot do it because it's going to be super lag, and you cannot judge everything from that, from the high-res asset. So we basically just Chris Badu building the tools from Udemy that we can automatically access from Maya. We just select the polys, use that tool and it will tessellate it. So it's meshed into low res and it's still keeping the same UVs. So when we submit the file, we submit both the high resolutions to continue in our pipeline and the low resolution just for rigger and animator to continue their work. With the final render inside Unreal Engine, we're using the high resolution mesh, not loading any low resolution inside the Maya, inside the Unreal report.
Yeah. So when you transfer the high res objects, it's on FBX, right?
On FBX, everything's on FBX file. We are having FBX files as our universal connectivity in our server, except the game and the effects.
Okay. Thank you.
Is this a question?
Hello. Your cinematic is really great. I have two questions. A little bit out of topic. One is which one do you use? Real-time ray tracing and processing for the final render.
Oh.
And the second one is when the export, are you suffering with movie render queue? I see in the UE 5.4 there a render graph. Did you use it? Is fit with your production?
You mean you cannot render it out with mass tracing or?
No, it's about the path that you export about the multi-layers. When you import in post
in post production?
yeah.
You mean you have to import
Yeah.
part with part?
ZT pass object ID.
Yeah. Like I mentioned before, we're not exporting any parts. In fact, there's some cases we need to export some mask for the characters, but it's not every case we're gonna export every card. You just grab what we see in the report. Just use that one. It's like 10% of the pass of the rendering. We require some multiple parts for the grading artistically data worth, but most of it, 90%, low pass. You just going with it. It's going from the viewports.
So the viewport is like a 90% the final output of your cinematic.
Viewport is final word. Yeah, everything is final word in the viewport. No comp.
Okay, thank you.
Great presentation. I just want to know on the how are you guys transferring the rigging onto the high resolution mesh? Like what process are you using?
Yeah, we in the rigging process we just see the how can I explain this? So we basically rigged and cleaned the weights by using the low resolution mesh, and then we have in a script to copy those weights, those logic of the joint, copy everything to the high resolution mesh. So the high resolution is only used for preview inside Unreal Engine. And sometimes animator, after they animate the raw res, they just using a playback to render it out with the high resolution asset.
Okay.
So we having our pipeline to switch back and forth between the low resolution and high resolution inside Maya report. So we just right click in the Maya report, switching to high resolution. We get that right away from name server. So basically, we team just doing that stuff at the low version, copy everything, transfer everything into the high resolution version, and then we can switch back and forth in the layout or animation department. Yeah, that's it.
And the skin copy, is it based on UVs or when you're copying the skin weights to the high resolution mesh?
Oh, that one, I'm sorry, I didn't know that detail.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, they're using a lot of...
It's okay. And the blend shapes, are those still high resolution blend shapes that they see that the animators will work with?
Yeah.
So the head mesh will still be high resolution.
Yeah, the head mesh are high resolution because animator needs to see the wrinkle of the character. And our artists need to see everything that's going to happen with on the expression itself because it's hard to judging the animation is ready from the low version of the mesh. We cannot do that. Our animation artists prefer to have a high resolution mode, so we did it.
Cool. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mulyan. I have a question regarding you mentioned earlier that you're using Alembic for geometry for groom cache.
Yep.
What about the effects? Because I saw that earlier that you use effects. Did you simulate in Unreal or you did it in Houdini or Maya and then export it as Alembic or?
For the effect part, for the effects part, we got a cheap version of it and an expensive version of it. So basically, the cheap version of the effects, we can store everything inside our library and we can reuse it as a dressing. So the cheap effect, this was done inside Houdini, and we generated every sprite by using Houdini render, and we render it out as a flipbook, doing our shaders with our system inside Unreal Engine, and that's the cheap one that we get, so we can reuse it anywhere, everywhere. But there's some situations that we need to do something expensive to please everything, to enhance the quality of the render. We did the effect inside Houdini, and we just render inside Houdini that we commit together. But these kind of situations, we trying not to get it happen in our pipeline, because it's going to be frustrating. Of a lot of simulation has to be
I feel that too.
yeah. Get it right. Yeah. So we have a power of real time render. So we're just trying everything in our library. You just, forcing to use when you just add it like a faster.
Okay, so in general, even though you're using Houdini for simulate the effects, you try to avoid to comp it later in.
Yeah, we try to avoid the comic later. And the only comp that we really wanted to do is the vignette. And when we want to blur something and there's some figuring issues happening too much, and we don't know how to fix it. That's where we comp it. That's where we fix it by just, like scrubbing around, playing with.
But what about the character effects? The like example like hair dynamics and stuff like
hair dynamics. Hair simulation. Right?
Yeah, hair simulation.
So if you remember the woman with the white hair, we actually get all the hair physics inside Unreal Engine, experimental features. And that's why we're hoping it's not going to break our process, because we are in 4.2 stuff, and what's the first person of the groom. Also, everything is hang on the tiny line. So we're just using the groom physical asset inside Unreal Engine, and we just pray for it to work.
Wow.
Actually, we did something with it. We did something with the groom spring our system, but I didn't show it today because it's too detailed.
Oh, I see. Did you ever get a situation that the groom flickering with the Niagara?
Groom flickering. That thing, we sometimes we fix it by comp, sometimes we fix it by going to the sequencer, playing up those subsurface scattering inside the material, and sometimes it's flickering because the roughness and all those what do you call it? The anisotropic surface that's happening on the hair. We just have a flat hair, hiding in the darkness or holding up by the effects or a little bit of comp. Everything is done.
Wow. Thank you very much. Great presentation, by the way.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Mod will be at the Dev Lounge for a little while after, if anyone wanted to continue to chat with him. And thank you for coming.
So, thank you again for having me.
Thank you, Mod.